When my team wins a big game, it's good. But when my team doesn't win the big game, you better look out, Buster. I'm a loose cannon. This is not good at all.
It's not good at all. For some. For others, it's everything. It's great. I'm Dave. I'm no longer wild hard for wild card as we're a few days removed from the weekend. But we would be remiss if we did not do a Too Much Dip episode this week. In studio with me is Dillon at Shivery.
Yeah, we kind of have to, right?
We have to do it to
one
them.
day off, but too much has happened that's noteworthy to just skip an episode.
We've got Rodney Terry getting pissed.
A lot of it is just not good at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And depending on your allegiances.
Sure.
KJ got called into a meeting, so we had to call in some reserves. Here's a guy you might know. Formerly producer Micah. I know him as Micah. Live from Dripping Springs, Texas, it's Micah.
Hello, it me.
That's all you got?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I've got a sick
Welcome.
child, so I'm working from home, and I have a quick window to get a little potty with you guys.
Okay.
Well, I don't know where you want to begin. I guess the best place to begin would be check out our friends at Roback, Dillon.
That's a great place.
Yeah, Backer 20 actually. Backer 20 is the promo code that will get you 20% off your entire cart. Load that card up. It is a one-time use code. They have incredible hoodies.
Hats.
Their hats are great.
Golf polos.
They have polos. They have joggers that
Quarter
are
zips.
fantastic. They have, look, what you need they have, and it's really good stuff.
And a very, very small amount of Wilmon's polos. So check those out.
Yes.
Go get them while you can.
Do you guys follow Cooking with Daryl?
I do now, actually, after Roback posted his whatever ciabatta Italian sausage burger thing.
I'm unfamiliar with this game.
I believe him to be the biggest Roback ambassador in the game right now. Daryl is probably a 60-year-old man, and he cooks food basically.
Midwest
and
as hell.
he throws his tongs in the air. Yeah, he does a lot of stuff, and he's quite likable, and he wears Roback. He's a very handsome man. He does. I know too much about him. He does hot yoga to stay in shape, but he looks great in Roback, and he should use that promo code too.
Yeah, he probably has a significant amount of Roback given that he's a big ambassador. But yeah, he should definitely use it. Don't use Daryl's promo. Use ours.
Yeah, use ours.
Please.
It would
What is yours
benefit us
again?
greatly.
Roback 20.
No, Backer 20.
Fuck.
Backer 20. Backer.
Okay. Big news yesterday. It's just the weirdest thing. It's so weird that the owner of a team, you have a coach under contract, and your owner has to send out a message that like, hey, we're not firing this guy. That's such a weird, bizarre place. But we'll start with the Cowboys because I know Micah's on limited time here. I don't know if you guys watched, but they got defeated at home.
They shot the bed is what they did.
They got utterly dismantled by the Green Bay. Be cool if it was the Green Day Packers. Jordan Love specifically.
The final score would indicate that it was somewhat competitive.
Two-score game.
But don't be confused, people. It was an absolute ass beating.
27-0 in the first quarter, I believe. At one point, it was a 32-point game, right?
They took the foot off the gas and put their backups were in the fourth quarter. Like it was a really
Matt
ugly
LaFleur
game.
essentially was like, yeah, we kind of took the starters out a little early, but
yeah,
didn't matter. It was never close. I'll let you guys start. Micah, why don't you give us your thoughts on the game, and then we can get to the specifics of what went down yesterday.
Sure. As you talk about yesterday, also strange that your owner would be canceling his Monday weekly radio appearance to then put out a statement saying we're not firing this bozo. A humiliating defeat, perhaps the most humiliating playoff defeat in franchise history, certainly recently. I have been preparing and bracing myself for the Cowboys to lose to the 49ers in the playoffs like they do every year. It was sort of a given all season long. And to come out flat, to just no show in the way that they did to be. Um, everything was wrong, offense and defense. I've been a big Dan Quinn fan. I've also told you guys on this podcast all year the Cowboys are classic front runners. This is a team that if they get ahead of you, you can let Micah pin his ears back. They can do things when they have the lead. This game was over when Green Bay won the toss and selected to receive, which I think I saw was only the second time in the last 68 playoff games the team that won the toss selected the ball instead of deferring. And then they went down, scored, and the game was pretty much over at that point.
An
This
8-minute
Cowboys
drive.
team is, yeah, Cowboys team that played weird small personnel that showed that they couldn't stop the run or run the ball consistently all season, was behind and looked to be in panic mode pretty much from the start. There was no sense of urgency. We'll get to Mike McCarthy next, I guess, but just a shockingly bad performance from the entire
Yeah,
squad.
there was
But
a.
not unpredictable because these were weaknesses they showed all season long.
You mentioned their front runners. You're right. It's a fast starting team, or it has been all season. If you recall, there was a defensive holding call, I think on a third and long, on the first series of the game.
They're on Bland, I believe.
Deron Bland, I think you're right. And it was perhaps the most influential call of the season for the Cowboys because it completely changed everything. They were about to get the ball back, um, uh, give them a chance to get the momentum going and get out to a quick start. But that holding call obviously gave Green Bay the first down. We know how the rest of the series turned out. They went down the field. Aaron Jones punches it in. Just a devastating call. It was the right call. There's no complaints from me. But it completely changed like the vibe of the start of the game. Yeah, they were just extremely flat. Dak's a momentum quarterback. When he's playing well, he continues to play well. When things go poorly for Dak, he kind of just keeps digging, and that's what happened. It was over in the first quarter.
Yeah, I completely agree. Alpha move by Matt LaFleur and the Packers. An 8-minute drive, go down there, expose every weakness that the defense had. To Dak, just soaking in all of the Cowboys media sports talk over the last 4 or 5 days, reminding us about how bad Dak has been in the playoffs, specifically in the first half of playoff games, with the exception of the Bucks, his win against the Bucks. But like the first half against the 49ers last year, I think he had like 90 yards and 2 interceptions. That game was still in reach too. That was like a 9-6 game. I don't know if you remember that. Then you had Tony Pollard getting hurt in the second half, completely changed the dynamic of that game. But against the Rams in his first or second year, interceptions just terrible, like 80 yards. That was the thing for me, and like you can't pin it all on Dak, but that was the biggest disappointment because after last year, I was like, dang, I don't think Dak can do it. And then I bought in 12 wins in like an MVP-ish MVP discussion at points season when he was objectively great.
His best season.
His best season. He was terrible against San Francisco. He was good against the Dolphins, not great. But terrible against Buffalo also.
They beat up on bad teams.
They beat up on bad teams.
And it gives you a false sense of confidence.
It does. That being said, seeing him on the sideline and he had that look on his face and just the dynamic between him and CD seemed off like on the first drive. It was weird. I heard an anecdote from the great Troy Aikman this morning on the Morning Musers on the ticket, and he was saying that Aaron Andrews texted him. She was at the game saying like this atmosphere, I've never seen anything like it. It's so tense and nervous, like not just the team, but like the fans and just
Weird.
everything about it. It was a weird vibe for me because it was like the first day of brutal cold here and I was stuck at home and wasn't feeling well. And I just rolling into that game, I had a weird vibes, but I was like, these weird vibes are just me being down bad. It was After that first drive, I kind of conceded. I didn't think we were going to come back. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout, but I thought it was over after watching them just dismantle that defense.
Yeah.
The one thing that's been good.
The pick six, it was over then, and not because the score was getting out of hand, but it was because like you knew that Dak was just in his head. Like he was not going to be the quarterback that we saw during the regular season when he was playing well. That's
Well,
when you knew he's like,
he was
okay.
clearly, on that play, clearly trying to force the ball to CD. For whatever reason, whether they're yelling on the sideline and they're not in sync and like, I'm gonna get you the ball, I'm gonna force you the ball. Like that was a classic example. And to your point, Dave, he did throw picks in the second and fourth possessions in the first half this year, as he did last year in the playoffs. Um, I think I said this last year. Like I don't know if I'm saying anything that I didn't say last year. Uh, the Dak Prescott is a good NFL quarterback, a better than average NFL quarterback, probably in the top 10. And at times this season he put up numbers that would have put him in a higher echelon. Um, but I just don't think the Cowboys can win with him. It's the same place the Cowboys were with Tony Romo, who was consistently somewhere between 8 and 12 if you want to rank the NFL quarterbacks. He was, and when he's playing great, he could be a top 5 guy. Um, and you're not going to stumble into another Dak Prescott. They're not going to do as well. It came to a certain point where like this team and this guy can't win. And that feeling that you talk about, like just the pressure, the not being able to rise above it, it was there. And it's a team that is designed poorly. They can't run the football consistently. And so all the pressure goes on Dak when they get behind. And a one-dimensional team is easier to defend, and you get a guy pressing and the whole thing. It's just like it's very disappointing.
Dak's inability to be a big game quarterback becomes even more glaringly obvious when a guy like Jordan Love, who's having his first good season ever, like before, I mean, even the first half of his season was not great. First third, to be fair, comes in and plays a really good football game on the road and beats a favored Dallas Cowboys
The
team.
first 7 seed
It's like
to defeat a 2 seed.
It's like I'm not saying
the
I'm not
Lions.
ready to crown Jordan Love as like, a big game quarterback yet, but he clearly was more ready for the moment than Dak Prescott, who's a veteran quarterback at this point, a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
it's super disheartening.
Yeah, it's insane. And then like I've seen enough breakdowns of that interception, the pick six, and a lot of people are questioning. Like I heard Troy. I watched Kurt Warner's recap of that specific interception. He does great job on Twitter of breaking those down, of just how bad of a play that is. The triple slant at the same depth, and it's like a one read thing. And yeah, the first thing I thought was like, oh, he's forcing it to CD because they know they're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs without CD getting his. And that was easy. That was way too easy. The first pick, the pick to Cooks, like that was, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't throw that ball to a small receiver, whatever. I can kind of forgive that one. But that one was just brutal. It sucks because, you're in a place where it's like, well, we got to do something. We got to do something at quarterback. You're not. You can't get out of it. They're going to have to restructure. He's going to get an extension. They have no other options at that position. The one thing they could have done was make a move at head coach. It seemingly had options, and as of yesterday, they are not going to do that. I think I know where you guys stand on that, but I will let you guys tell us what you feel.
Yeah, I tweeted about this. I mean, the silver lining for me is like, okay, if the Cowboys lose a close one, it's like, all right, is McCarthy gone? I'm not sure. But the ass kicking that they took, I thought it was a formality that he was going to get fired. Like I was so confident. I was just waiting for the announcement to come down. I don't understand it. It's like, what is it? The definition of crazy is like, can you try the same thing over and over again and expect, a different result? Like they're just kicking the can down the road here. The combination of McCarthy and Dak is not working. It's just not working, and they're going to try it again next year. And I know I don't have any hope for next year. I mean, they're going to have a good regular season again because that's what they do. Dak's going to put up, franchise quarterback numbers, and then they're going to fall flat in the playoffs again because the formula is in place, and we know how it turns out.
And Jerry is the problem. Jerry is the problem. Jerry is the problem. And, you can fire Mike McCarthy, and it's not going to fix the problem. When Mike McCarthy gets asked about, or when Jerry talks about Mike McCarthy's status last week and says, oh, we're going to evaluate on a game by game basis. Like, you think that doesn't make everybody tight? You think that the crowd doesn't like you talk about that weird atmosphere. Jerry is to blame for that. He brought that on. And then if you're going to say we're going to evaluate on a game to game basis, after you do that, like what is there to evaluate? Like you have no credibility. If you say we're evaluating on a game to game basis after you lay an egg like that, you got to fire the guy.
You're also this is
Um,
your owner GM who's in all of the coaches' meetings.
Head
Weird.
coach. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the guy who uh, you talk about the pressure and like the weird vibes. This whole thing is like based upon like the history, the glorious history of the Dallas Cowboys, and these guys think they are like the second coming of the triplets of these teams, these great teams from the '70s. They have like no identity for themselves, and it all starts with the owner. And I personally like I don't think going to get Belichick was the move. The only coaching change I would have liked to have seen, if we could get Harbaugh, you could talk me into Harbaugh. But going to get like people were talking Pete Carroll, Belichick, I don't think that's the move. McCarthy's got 1 year left on his deal.
Elevate Dan Quinn.
Dude, we were talking about this in a group text yesterday, man. The defense was fucking bad.
That was
They were bad.
Okay.
Not just that game. Like the last 6 or 7 weeks, the defense has been bad. And Micah mentioned the small personnel. I don't know how much of that is Dan Quinn's hands tied. They had injuries. Van Der Esch went out. That's your big linebacker. They lost Overshown, the rookie, in training camp. I don't know how much that changes things. But dude, to get absolutely punked on defense, man, is crazy. And for
Yeah.
Micah, that was probably the worst game. That was definitely the worst game of Micah's season. Probably the worst game of his career.
Yeah, everyone was flat. Everyone.
Yeah, it was awful. Packers had a genius game plan, man, and Jordan Love executed it perfectly.
Yes. And more to the coaching. There are little things that Mike McCarthy's teams do that are so maddening. There are they they're just so unaware. And when you're behind by 3 scores in the third quarter, and your wide receiver catches a ball and runs out of bounds, everyone who watches football knows the clock stops until they until they reset the ball, and then the clock continues. The Cowboys don't seem to know this. There is no hurry to get on the ball. There is no just the 15 seconds they lose on every play from it's just it's been the Mike McCarthy thing. If you watch Bill Belichick's teams or the guy from what's the guy who was the coach of the Titans that just got fired?
Vrabel.
Um Vrabel, good teams don't make these little mistakes. They don't give things away like this. And I mean, we know what we're going to get. We know what Mike McCarthy is going to do. I, I just think that if you're Jerry Jones and you said we're going to evaluate this on a game by game basis, you just came out and vomited all over yourself. You're down 27 points at half. Like, fire the guy at halftime if that's what you really mean.
I wonder
Um,
I wonder how it
Putting a guy
plays
into a
out.
last year of a contract. I mean, come on.
Lame duck. I wonder how it plays out if they lose this game, a close game, but on a Mike McCarthy, um, had the lead like we've seen a couple times this year and continue to throw the ball and not kill the clock on like that kind of Mike McCarthy mistake, as opposed to your team just came out flat and got their ass kicked. I wonder if we're looking at another year of McCarthy if that's how it goes down.
Yeah, I mean, look, and nobody, you guys know, I've been very hard on Mike McCarthy. I don't like the hire. He hasn't shown me to be a good head coach. I'll give him credit as offensive coordinator this year, as play caller. He did a great job with Dak. And they won some games and a lot of games. 12 wins is nothing to sneeze at, but to come into when you're going to be judged when you've been 12-5 the last 2 years, and now it's year three, and you're the number 2 seed, you're at home, you're going up against a quarterback playing his first playoff game, and to just come out that flat, and I mean, it's a fireable offense in my opinion. And For some reason, we're just going to bring him back on a 1-year contract where he's a lame duck. Dan Quinn's probably going to get a head coaching job somewhere, so you're going to have to fix the defense. Um, and I mean, I've been saying for years, make Dan Quinn the head coach, but I don't even think that solves the problem. Um, this is Jerry. Jerry always keeps a guy 1 year too late instead of getting rid of him 1 year too early. It happens on personnel. It happens on coaching. I mean, Jason Garrett was there for 9 years, and this seems to be another unfortunate case of that happening.
Do you give the Packers any chance in San Francisco?
No, no. San Francisco's just too good.
It's pretty dope that the Cowboys don't have to go out via San Francisco again for a third time. That's kind of a
Yes.
nice change of pace. A different
Well,
legacy team gets to end our shit.
Yeah, it's a game of who's going to knock the Cowboys out of the playoffs at this point. Who
Um,
gets to be
yeah,
the
it's
one?
true. I was a little disappointed it wasn't the 49ers. I've been saying it all season long. It just seems like a countdown till the Niners knock us out. So I was wrong about that. Yeah, no, Green Bay played a perfect game. Um, and I don't think that the 49ers have as many weaknesses as the Cowboys. And I think they exploited every weakness that they could, and I don't think that they'll be able to do that against a rested 49ers team. But it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. Brock Purdy is not a playoff tested quarterback. If he throws 2 picks, this Green Bay team is good enough to win another couple games. I mean, I don't really envision a way they get to the Super Bowl. But the fact that they've done what I've never been. A lot of the people I follow don't seem to be very impressed with Lafleur over the course of his career. He's won a lot of regular season games. Um, but to see the f- he absolutely wiped the floor, him and his coaching staff, with Dan Quinn, with Mike McCarthy, and it's an impressive win. I mean, I just don't think that they're going to be able to circle in on the weaknesses that the Niners don't have the way they did and exploit the Cowboys. Um, but, and he gets credit, and Love gets credit for all those first-year receivers. Like, everybody they have is a first or second-year receiver. They have apparently the youngest receiving core of any NFL team since at least 1990. Like, the fact that they had guys running wide ass open all day is impressive, and, they can probably do some of that against San Francisco. But I would like the Niners, on Saturday or Sunday game. I don't know.
oh, that's Saturday nights after the Texans and CJ Stroud go into Baltimore. Give the Texans any chance?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'll say the same thing about CJ Stroud as I said about Brock Purdy last year. I don't see a rookie quarterback will implode at some point in the playoffs, and he didn't do it in game one,
He doesn't turn
and
the
he
ball
deserves a lot
over,
of credit
man.
for that. And he hasn't really done all season, but at some point he's going to throw 3 picks in a playoff game, and they're going to lose. And I don't know if it's this week, and I think it's probably this week actually.
Yeah, I think they have a better chance than Green Bay does against San Francisco. But
I agree with that.
I'm a big Lamar guy. He's having an excellent season, and yeah, I don't see a rookie quarterback taking down Lamar Jackson led Ravens
That
at
would
this point.
probably be the only thing that could take the national media cycle off of the Cowboys is if the Ravens lost their opening
Yeah.
playoff game to a rookie quarterback. But we didn't even talk about the Eagles, but maybe the only thing saving the Cowboys next season is the fact that it looks like they're bringing Sirianni back.
What happened to the Eagles?
They just slowly imploded over the
They
course of a season, and they were
Hey,
never
Dylan.
that
they
good.
started 10-1.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they won like 8 of those 10 games by 1 score or less.
Yeah,
So, or well, by 1 score. Dylan, I've got a question for you. As someone, you're pretty familiar with the question, what's your deal?
Mhm.
What's Nick Sirianni's deal? What's that guy's problem?
He thrives in the muck. He's one of those guys, man. He likes to be in the muck. He likes to mix it up and be a shithead, and that's how he motivates, I guess. I don't know. He's just a shithead.
Yeah, I heard Peter King talking about how he lost control of the team, and Jalen Hurts, who is by all accounts a great guy and a great person and a role model and a great quarterback, isn't necessarily the guy who is a leader of men. And you see him on the sideline just kind of sitting there. He's not a Tom Brady guy who's going to go fire up the rest of his squad, which isn't a big deal if you've got a head coach that people are paying attention to. But there's some belief from people. Peter King knows a lot more about football and people in that building than I do, that the team gave up on Sirianni and Jalen Hurts didn't rise to the occasion. But I mean, that team was broken. Something was. I picked Tampa on my podcast, Backdoor Cover, to win that game straight up, because I just think, I mean, Philly was broken. They are broken. We'll see what happens in the offseason. But I'm going to sneak out of here, fellas. It's been a lot of fun. I just wanted to mention a couple things, though, before I do.
Okay.
Thanks for having me on the live stream last week with Mike Golick. I'm disappointed my weird nerdy headset that I wore on the air and that I'm wearing today. I guess it has really good uh, white noise blocking, because I went and bought a little like the Joe Rogan bell that we have there at the studios, and I was hitting the bell every time I made a Taylor Swift reference, and it was hilarious in my headphones. And I think the bit turned out really great, but I think it would have been much better with added sound effects. So that's
Thank
all
you,
I wanted to
Randy.
add.
We've got a
You
bell here. Yeah, I
you
didn't.
crushed it, Micah.
It was
People loved it.
it was great. That was great.
Yeah, it could have been just a little bit better, but that, and shout out to D-Man, C Murda, T-Bone,
Right.
and the Beard at Least Point Funding Group. Anybody who needs uh, business um, business finance, come holler at your boy. We will finance you. Laser reps, get at me. You know
Hell
where to find
yeah.
me. That's it. All right,
Huge.
later.
Bye. Do the bye-bye thing.
Love you, Micah.
Oh yeah. Bye bye.
There he is.
Mm-hmm.
Got to do it to us.
All
A
right.
subdued Micah.
There he goes.
At home with a sick child, Micah.
Yeah, he's not his usual electric factory self.
That's okay, though.
Yeah.
He still brought it.
We'll take him in any form.
You give Baker any shot? Because I do. On the road in Detroit,
Yeah. No, that's going to be a good game, I think.
I kind of look. I know you're not a Baker guy, and we've shit on Baker for a lot of things. I kind of love the rise of Baker here. He's kind of found himself. He's definitely found himself in Tampa. I don't know, man. I think that's gonna be a great game.
I do too.
Like, I think that's gonna sneaky be like a one-score game.
I think the line is 6.5, which is surprisingly big.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I had
think that's what I
stated.
saw.
I stated on circling back that I'm pulling for Detroit, Buffalo, Super Bowl. I think that's great for the company. A little bit of Brett, a little bit of Will, but I also just like I like those two fan bases. I think the Bills they're going to beat Kansas City, right, at home. How do you feel about that?
I think so. I just don't think I think Josh Allen, he's one of these hot and cold quarterbacks who's really hot right now.
He kind of has to win this game, right? Like, you can't keep going out to Mahomes like this.
No, they're a better team. They have more weapons. It's just a better team. Their young tight end Kincaid is really, really good.
Baller.
He's a
Dog.
baller. Yeah, this Kansas City team doesn't have the weapons that it usually does.
True. Do you think that has to do with any like distractions?
For sure. Yeah, I don't buy into all that, but yeah,
We should have Brett Favre on.
I just think, yeah, Kansas City lacks the weapons that it typically has. They're still a good team, obviously, but they're not the Kansas City that we've been used to the last few years. And I just think that the Bills that are hot and cold are just hot right now, and I think they take care of business in Buffalo.
Okay. Dillon, I'm going to give you the platform because you are the noted Longhorn correspondent. Did anything go down in the last 24 hours that you'd like to speak upon?
This is not a huge deal, I don't think, but people love to dunk on Texas, so I'm going to address it. Yeah, so Texas lost to UCF in basketball last night, a team that they should not have lost to. Texas is a talented team. They have some guys on the team. This is Rodney Terry's first full season as head coach. As we all know, he replaced Chris Beard last season. The whole Dom Vi allegation situation.
Right. Who's now thriving at Ole Miss.
Right. A good coach. Questionable character. Good coach. Yeah, so UCF came back in the second half last night and beat Texas in Austin. And their players, a bunch of them, threw the horns down aggressively right before like the handshake line, basically. Yeah. Rodney Terry, head coach, not happy about it. He was chirping at the players, yelling a little bit, telling them that was classless. Don't do that. Here's my take. He's a good guy. I think he's a beloved guy. His players love him. He knows that his time in Austin is probably very limited. He has a lot of pressure to win. A lot of pressure to win. This is a big job for him, and the moment is really big for him. So when he takes a loss like that he knows he should have won, he's an emotional guy, and he got emotional and he fired back because he felt disrespected. I get it. I don't fault the guy, but you can't do that. You just can't. When you're the head coach of a basketball team, you can't chirp at the opposing players for doing shit like that. You just don't do it. The moment's too big for him. He's feeling the pressure, and he had a moment of weakness, and he chirped. Even in the post-game presser, he talked about how it was a classless thing to do. The moment's just too big for him, and I think his time in Austin is very limited. And I hate to say that because I think, like I said, he is a good dude, but he's not ready for a job like this.
Yeah, you got to just take the L.
You do.
It's never a good look when you're a coach and you're chirping at the other team's
No.
players
And
in,
that
in college. Gary Patterson did it a couple times at TCU, and it just makes you never look good. You never look like you're in the right, no matter what.
It's human nature to let stuff like that get under your skin. So I don't fault him for getting emotional about it, but you can't react the way you reacted as the head coach. You just can't do it. I mean, if you want to say something to the opposing coach, that's a little different, but not the players. Leave it alone. Take the L. Your team looked like shit. You're falling apart. It's going to be a really ugly season, an NIT season for Texas. And yeah, I haven't watched a minute of Texas basketball this year, not one, and I'm not missing anything.
Big 12 is nasty.
Yeah,
It is a nasty, nasty place. Like, there's a lot of teams that are going to be in that tournament.
yeah.
Houston went into Lubbock last night and dominated. Baylor lost on the road, Kansas State. It's just wild. It's going to be fun.
Mhm.
I don't really have too much. I don't know if there's anything you want to opine upon here on the. We got 2 Saturday games, 2 Sunday games.
Texas football putting on a portal clinic though. They're cleaning up. So
They're cleaning up.
I'm happy about that. Basketball is a whole different story, but I'm not much of a college basketball guy, so I'm okay with it.
Is it weird that when I saw Lane Kiffin tweet a photo from the Sandra Meadows Fieldhouse where the Duncanville Panthers play basketball, like I weirdly had this thought, just a split second of, I need to go up there and try to get a pic with Lane. Not processing that I'm about 208 miles away.
Yeah. That's cool
I like that Lane does that. I like how he goes about his business when he's like visiting and
my
doing
high
stuff.
school doesn't get guys like Lane Kiffin going through it.
Not yet.
Not yet. There's not a whole lot of talent going through LC Anderson High School in Northwest Hills in Austin, Texas. But it would be if something like that happened, I would be very excited.
Yeah, it was fun. We were kind of contemplating what his visit to Duncanville looked like, and I'm pretty sure he went to one place, and it was the Fieldhouse, and then was gone.
He was in Tuscaloosa right after that.
Yeah, he was there like the same day.
Yeah.
So he didn't stick around. He didn't hit the Taco Bell on Cedar Ridge.
No.
He didn't hit the Subway over there off Center Street.
I saw you suggested that he stopped by that Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's not that different than other Taco Bells. Only they have
it's your Taco Bell.
That parking lot is a great place to hang out, get into trouble.
Listen to some music.
Strike out with chicks, all that. Pop trunk, you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we will be back on Monday, the full show.
Yep.
KJ.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye.
I want my chips with the dip, that's all I know. I don't want my chips plain, I want my chips with the dip. So bring them dips.